think I'll have to write one and come up with a title at that time. But I'm sort of midway, I guess.
Uh-huh. Hello, lovely people, and welcome back to Parenthood. I'm your host, Neha Garg, and I'm thrilled to have you join me for another episode. Parenthood is more than just a journey, it is every parent navigating the highs and lows of raising a family. And parenthood is more than just a podcast, it's a community. Whether you're here for practical tips, inspiration, or just to feel like someone out there gets it, you're in the right place. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the show, please leave us a review or share it with your friends. It really helps our little community grow. Today, I'm honored to welcome someone whose parenting journey is as layered and inspiring as it is real. Saurin Parikh is joining us, and I can already tell this conversation will leave you with so much to think about. Saurin is the proud father of a bright and curious 15-year-old Hridansh. Saurin co parents with Hiral, his ex wife, and together they've navigated the unique challenges of raising a child as amicably divorced parents. What I find so inspiring about Soren's story is the grace and adaptability he's brought to this journey. From parenting as a family unit to co parenting in separate households, Soren has embraced every twist and turn with resilience and a deep commitment to his son's well being. Soren, welcome to Parenthood. Thank you for being here and for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you, Neha. Thank you for having me.
Soren,
Pleasure.
let's start. Thank you. Thank you. Let's start by getting to know you a little better. If you had to describe yourself using just three words or phrases, what would they be and why do they resonate with you?
I think I would describe myself as uh, creative,
Mhm.
maybe somebody who's very open and chilled out, I guess.
That's nice. That's nice. And now imagine your life as a book. What would be the title of your autobiography and which chapter are you on currently?
Oh, I think I'll have to write one and come up with a title at that time. But I'm sort of midway, I guess.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. And tell us about your family, Soren. Introduce us to Hridansh. What is he like at 15? What are some things about him that make you smile or even laugh out loud?
Oh, Hridansh, he's been like literally the joy of my life. And right now he's a proper teen. So
Uh,
you see all the mannerisms and all the everything else about a team in him. He's like locked up in his room most of the time. He wants to eat in there. Everything that we did when we were teenagers. I can
uh-huh.
see him doing all of those things as well. And he's like, why didn't you close the door, or why did you knock before you entering the door, and all of those things. But and I've seen a big change in him in the past, let's say a couple of years, or
Uh-huh.
maybe even a year, from 13 and a half maybe to like now closer to 15. He's changed drastically. He's shot up. He's grown taller than me.
Mhm.
Earlier he used to come to my shoulder, but now he's taller than me, and he's an adult. I can see that he's a full-fledged adult now. He's not a kid anymore. He has his own thoughts and ideas, which is great. He has his own beliefs. He's questioning a lot of things. Earlier, kids are always curious. They question everything their parents tell them. But
Yeah.
now he's becoming now getting the habit of questioning things around him. Why is certain things like this, or like yesterday we were having conversation. Why did Donald Trump get elected again? So he's curious about the world. He's into sports, so that is something we want in a lot. And yeah, it's been great, and it's amazing to see how from something so little he's grown to become something so big, and can't even imagine what's going to happen next.
And thanks for sharing that, Soren. And parenting, I believe, is often shaped by our relationships. Can you share a little about your journey with Hiral, how you met, how your relationship evolved, and how you transitioned into co-parenting after your separation?
Yeah, so we had an arranged marriage, and we met through family,
Mm.
and we've always been a marriage didn't work out, but we've always been very good friends. That's why we are still very amicable as co-parents. Now, even earlier and even after our separation and post the divorce, also all of us, all like rather both of us, we take all decisions for Hridansh, together. We are equally involved in his entire life, from his friends to his schooling to, his extracurricular activities. Both of us are equally involved, and, like the joy of parenting, both of us feel. And even though we're not together, we are still, we have a very, very, big bond, which is our son. So, and yeah, like, in a nutshell, I would say that she's still a very good friend. I would always
Right.
I can always count on her for, of course, for Ridan, but even for myself.
Right, right. And how is the dynamics in your household now that you are, a single parent and Hridansh is with you some days of the week, I'm guessing? And what are the some of the routines, traditions, or moments that define your time with Hridansh?
So essentially, we know, like he stays a month with me and a month with her, but
Okay,
then we kind of leave it to him when he wants to come, where he wants to go, where he wants to stay, and it largely depends on him only. So it is not usually limited to a month. Sometimes he'll spend longer with her or longer with time with me, and we don't at all ask him when he's coming, when he's going. Leave it to him. He'll tell us, that now I'm missing mama. I want to go and stay with her for a while.
right,
So that's how it's working, and it's very comfortable. We both live fairly close by, so that we have sort of decided to live in a radius where at least the school bus is coming.
right.
So that makes things easier for us. And uh, yeah, it's essentially largely on to him only, where he wants to stay.
Yeah. And when he is with you, what is the routine like? And how does it work out? And what's the dynamic like between the two of you, apart from him asking you to close the door whenever he's in the room? Hmm.
So it's a regular routine only. Mornings we came up for school, and then I have my own work. Thankfully, I work remotely, so I'm working from home most of the times. So
Right,
sometimes I go, if I get bored, I go to a coffee shop to work out of there.
right,
But he's old enough now, so he has a key, so he can come in if I'm not at home.
right.
Only thing I have to ensure is there's something, some food for him, either
Yeah,
in the kitchen or in the fridge. As long
right.
as that is sorted, he is sorted.
Right, right. And I want to really understand about parenting after separation, Saurin. Could you take us back to the moment you and Hiral decided to tell Hridansh about your separation? What was it like? And how did you approach that conversation? How did he respond? What happened?
Uh, it was a very thought out thing. No, so it was a decision that we took. It was maybe probably we were playing around or rather talking about it for a year before we actually decided to go ahead and then tell him.
Right,
We also decided that it would be better to tell him first and then to tell our families, our parents first, because we were three of us are living in Bangalore away from home. So,
right,
I think he was nine or somewhere between 9 or 10 when this happened, and thankfully he took it. He took it seriously. Well, he asked us why and how it would work. He had those usual questions. Where would Mama stay? Where would Papa stay? Who would stay in this house where we are right now? Where
right,
what would I be? Would I get to see Mama? Would I get to see Papa? All of those things. He had those questions, and we walked him through it. That it's going to be very simple and straightforward. You can stay with Mama and Papa. There's no restriction on meeting any of them. You can meet them whenever you want. Nothing apart from the fact that the three of us not living together. Nothing else changes.
right,
Both of us still, for him there. And thankfully, it worked out in our favor that, one good thing about COVID or the pandemic was that it worked out that, it happened during that time.
right,
So all of us were then, in a same community.
right,
And no, we were working from home, he was studying from home.
right,
So that big gap was not there. It worked out very well. A couple of years went while everyone was at home. So that helped him also to transition into the whole thing. But
yeah.
essentially, he took it well, and now that he's grown up, he's very comfortable with the whole situation.
Right, right. And it's been a quite a long time that since you've been co-parenting. So what were the early days like? What was some of the, I even though it sounds fairly simple, but I'm sure there were some adjustments you had to make both emotionally and practically. So what was it like navigating those?
Um, So I stayed back at the place where we were staying because he had his friends over there. So we didn't want to like we didn't want him to have a completely different house. We wanted him to have the same apartment, his same friends, his same circle over there. So that was one thing we decided. And he also moved out, which was down the lane only, so
Right,
as to stay close to him. So honestly, I don't remember a lot about what we were going through at that time. But I don't remember any major incidents that were that
yeah,
were not in a good way, kind of.
right, yeah,
So largely the memories from the whole kind of couple of years was that things were we were trying to figure things out, and we were able to manage it well enough.
right, right.
There are no glaring incidents that come to mind that, oh shit, that had happened, and maybe we should not have done this. We should have thought it otherwise. None of those things come to mind.
And how did your family take this news? Now that Hridansh also knew it, didn't they say that, bacha pareshan hoga and all of those things? Didn't they come up?
Yeah, they did come up, and it's all natural. Also, don't blame them.
Mm,
All of these things did come up, and it took us a while also for us to explain them that this is for the best of us, best for us. So that was a bit tricky to navigate, but eventually they also came on board. They realized that we're better off being apart than being together,
right.
and all of us realized that we are better co-parents when we are separated rather than we were together,
Wow. Mm,
because
mhm.
the little things that trigger couples often, they
Yeah.
were not there anymore.
Can you give us some examples?
Like often when you're in a space where you don't really want to be with that person, you
Right.
tend to nitpick a
Yeah.
little bit more. You tend to look for faults when there is actually no fault,
Yeah.
and that kind of has an impact on your parenting as well.
Right.
Maybe you are frustrated with your spouse, and you don't want to be with her or him, and then you kind of get angry at your child because of those frustrations.
Right.
That completely went up. Now,
Right.
since we were not under the same roof, we were not nitpicking anything.
Right.
Both of us were living the life that we wanted to, managing the house the way we wanted to manage the house.
Yeah.
So, our frustrations had kind of evaporated, with each other. So, that helped us be, uh, more easy about how we were parenting, or, helped us take better decisions, when we were
Right.
as co-parents.
Yeah. And Ridansh also sounds quite wise for his years, when you said that when you shared the news with him, the way he reacted and responded to it. So has Ridansh ever shared something with your family dynamic with you or either with Hiral, which has stayed with you or given you a fresh perspective that, oh my God, I didn't even think of this way.
Yeah, yes. Very recently, he's said to me that, he's happy that both of us are now happy.
Yeah.
Even though we are not together. So, he also mentioned that he's glad that, we didn't decide to stay together because of him. Now, I don't know where this came from. Maybe he saw it in a movie or, somewhere where, typically it's the case where, parents don't want to stay together, but they do because of the children,
Right.
and they don't end up happy. So he saw that somewhere, or maybe he spoke to somebody about this. But he did mention that, that he's glad that, we are not unhappy because of him.
Right.
So that was like, and that was in the phase when I mentioned in the past year and a half where I've seen him grown, you
Yeah.
know. So in that phase also, where we now talking about all these things, about separation more clearly. I'm talking to him about, relationships and all.
Yeah.
So we have these conversations where, he's now 14, 15. So, he'll be at a stage where he'll start, having a girlfriend maybe, or, those things.
Yeah.
So we have this conversation, and he's very mature in all of these things. And that was when he once mentioned that, he's happy that we didn't stay together just for him. We were
Yeah.
not unhappy staying together.
Yeah. And Soren, I'm also very interested to know, how do these, day-to-day decisions and big decisions of his life work out with you? You say that, it's very smooth, but give us an example, walk us through, like, for example, he wants to pursue maybe a new sports or, something that he wants to do, that how do you approach this? What's the process like?
So one very good example is that, like, he's an ICSE and he's now in ninth. So
Right.
in eighth they have to choose their stream. They have to choose between science, maths, and commerce, economics. So that was a decision we had to take sometime around this time last year. before
Yeah.
he started, ninth. So this was like it's a major decision, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And the three of us got together. We were, debating pros and cons of taking science or taking, the commerce stream, and what are his areas of interest, what does he want to do when he, grows older, and what are his good subjects, his strong subjects, his weak subjects. So I think we got together a couple of times together. We even, thankfully, school provides us with our counselor services.
Right.
So the of us got on a call with the counselor as well a couple of times to understand, what other options for him and, his weak points, his strong points. He took an assessment test that we evaluated with his class teacher. So, and eventually we decided that he's better off going to commerce and economics. So this was a big decision that the three of us took together, and Hiral was as involved in it as I was, and largely we left it to him. But there was some, we had to tell him that don't get into peer pressure. Like all of his friends were taking maths because they had aspirations to be go into IIT, or
Yeah.
all of his friends want to become doctors. So he's probably in his group he's the only one who's taken commerce. So we had to tell him that don't take a decision because of peer pressure. Just
Yeah.
because they're taking maths and you taking commerce doesn't mean you stop being friends, but
Right.
you should take a stream which you want to go ahead and pursue, which is your strong suit.
Yeah.
So that is one example of how we were able to manage a big decision together. Apart from that, the regular routine things are they happen in their own way. There's no, and the older these kids grow, they tell you. You don't have
Yeah.
to decide also for them.
Yeah. And as someone who's lived through various phases of parenting, from being a traditional family unit to now co-parenting separately, what's the one thing you would say you have learned about yourself as a father and also probably as a person?
I think what I've learned about myself is that it's is that I'm capable of doing it by myself as well. You
Yeah.
know, it's not something that Hiral's presence is very much valued, and her insights and she being his mother, it's very important as well. But it's also something I've realized that I can take care of him myself as well. Like like a couple of it happened once that Hiral was traveling when he was not well. And like not recently, but in the early stages of separation. And usually, it's a mother that the child
Yeah.
goes to when the kid is not well. They want the mother's comfort, but it was not there, and I was able to provide that for him.
Right.
So that kind of gave me the confidence that I can be a parent by myself also,
Yeah.
and I have to take care of him. And yeah, that is one thing. Yeah, actually.
Yeah. And also, Sorin, tell me it's if it's too personal, but I want to ask you this. I'm sure that now that you two are living your separate lives, there might be other people in the world that you might be, fascinated by, attracted to, and dating, and probably more. And how does that work with Hridansh? Like, is he open to the idea of you guys seeing other people and there being more people in the family unit? Yeah, yeah. So how does that work? Has that conversation ever come up?
Yeah, it works. I have dated. She also has, and he's not met all of the people that we have dated, but he's met the people that we have kind of been closer to.
Right.
So, and he's taken it well. And in fact, he recently, like currently I'm not dating anybody, but he we do talk about, like I mentioned earlier, he's now grown to age where we talk about these things.
Yeah.
And he's told me that you should find somebody. You should.
Oh.
He's told me that also. So he's taken that well. So,
Yeah, okay. And you seem to be doing so much as a parent now, especially now, because sometimes you have to, even though you are co-parenting and Hiral is there, but you are a single father as well. So how do you navigate that? Is there a balance that you have in your life? How do you manage everything? Being a parent, being a professional, being a person, and being a
yeah.
friend.
Yeah, it is actually, it is not as overwhelming as it seems to be. It's what I have realized. Like I mentioned earlier, I realized that I can do this myself.
Yeah,
And at first, when he separated, it was very scary. That how will I do this? I know everything from ordering groceries to planning your meals to make like waking up in the morning. what happens if someday you are not well and you're
Yeah.
alone with the play, all of those things, they come to mind and they kind of overwhelm you. But like with most things in life, once you start doing them, it you get a hang of it and you kind of figure out ways to do these things.
Yeah.
So I think after like 4 5 years now that it's become very like clockwork.
Yeah.
I'm able to manage the house as well as my work. Thankfully, I'm working remotely right now, so that helps in a
Yeah.
big way. But managing him and it also becomes easier once that he grows older. Like I
Right.
mentioned, like 2 3 times I think I said this. He's now an adult by himself, so
Yeah.
as long as there is food available, there's nothing else to look at, to be concerned about. Like i
Yeah.
can i can go out also, I go out even in the evenings, or to meet friends or stuff like that. He's really comfortable taking things. He's able to heat the food on his own and all of those things.
Yeah.
I
And
think, yeah,
sorry.
just to add, maybe our separation also has made him more of a independent child, where
Right.
he's able to do these things by himself, which typically, in a larger family, like I remember when I was growing up, till the longest time I didn't know how to make tea. I had
Yeah.
my mom or my grandmother or somebody, some help in the house. Later on, my wife, somebody do these things for me, which he's able to do by himself now.
Right, right, right. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm also wondering if the fact that you guys separated when he was 9 or 10 years old, so he had a certain intelligence level at that point of time. So do you think does that also factor in becomes a factor in determining how the child takes this?
To be honest, I've seen all kinds of cases. I've seen other parents who have, I have friends who have separated and they have children who have not taken it so well. So,
Right.
and they would also probably have been in the same age group as Hridansh. So I guess we are lucky in that sense,
Yeah.
that he's taken it well and it has worked out for us. But I've seen the other end of the spectrum as well, where it has not, either the child has been too young. If they're too young, they're not able to, they've not seen a whole family life, so maybe they are able to adapt easier. But if they're
Right.
older, then it has happened that they are not, them now child is not able to adapt. So
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
luck plays a good part for us.
Right, right. And I'm very interested to know, Soren, that you say that it's Hiral who does it does it for Hridansh. It's you who does it for Hridansh. But are there other moving parts to this equation that make up your village? Because they say that it takes a village to raise a child. So as you're raising your son, who are those people in your community that help you?
Um, our parents are always there, even though they are not here, but they are
Right,
still always reachable, accessible to him, and they keep coming often. So that's there. Apart from that, we have our own friend circles. We still have friends who are our common friends, both of us,
right,
and we have separately also we have friend circles. There are people in the building, in the apartment complex where we are staying, who are help, and uh, like I'm friends with a couple of his friends. So
right.
that is also again a circle. So I think the community kind of has developed, and it has been useful for us that way. So it's largely it's family and friends.
Right, right. And now I want to talk about the joys that parenting brings to our lives, and especially the unexpected joys. Have there been any small everyday moments with Ridansh that brought you immense happiness or gratitude that yeah, he is my son.
Yeah, plenty of them. Like very recently, he was not well, and he had come home from school and he was tired. He went to sleep, and he had a bit of a fever.
Yeah.
So I just measured his temperature and put him to bed. And before he goes to sleep, he tells me, "I love you, Papa."
Oh.
Out of nowhere. I don't think even if he remembers it, if he watches this, he'll be embarrassed by it. But it came out of nowhere, which was like a big moment for me. And recently, some time back, he was telling me, that he appreciates me a lot, and he hopes that he can be as good a father as I am. So
Oh.
I've had these moments with him, which I've recent ones that I can think of. I'm sure there
Yeah.
are others in the past as well have been there,
Yeah.
but yeah, you tend to think that the older they grow, they'll be less emotional, which
Yeah.
is true in a way, you know. But sometimes when they're vulnerable, they give you these gems.
Yeah, and that also makes me think of asking you, are there some activities or some things that you two do together, or they make up the bond stronger? What are those?
A lot of them, very simple daily routine thing is like in the evening we walk out to there's a tea stall outside our place, so we
Yeah.
walk out there just for I have a small cup of tea and he has coffee. So like
Wow.
15-20 minutes, like we tend to do that. It's become kind of a routine. We do it almost every day.
Wow.
So that is one thing. Apart from that, we often go bowling. Both of us like bowling a lot. So
Right.
the both of us often go bowling, and usually it's just the two of us. A couple of times happen that his friends have joined, but usually just two of us. So we'll make a Sunday evening out of it. We'll go bowling and then have dinner and come back. There's a very good steak place in Bangalore that both of us love. So once in a while we just go there to have steak. So
Yeah.
there are these things. Shopping is a thing. He's now grown older, so he's more conscious about what he's wearing.
Yeah.
So I've taken him shopping recently. So those are some things that we keep doing often. That and of course PS4, we play cricket and we play FIFA on PS4 often, in the evenings. So that is
Yeah.
something we do together.
Yeah. And looking back on your journey, Soren, is there a piece of advice you'd give to your younger pre-parent self, or maybe pre-separation self as well?
Not really. Maybe I would just tell him that do the best that you can and don't be like overwhelmed with what the situation is. You'll figure a
Right.
way out. And I guess that's a piece of advice for any kind of situation, whether it's work or relationship or parenting or anything. You just have to hang in there and figure things out. No
Right.
matter how overwhelming, life can become like that, and in any aspect. And the best thing to do is just figure it out, hang in there.
Right, right. Yeah, beautiful. And if you were to, taking from that, if you were to describe or encapsulate your parenting philosophy in one sentence, what would that look like?
Hmm. And I think I've been a good parent because I don't impose myself on him.
Hmm.
And even Hiral for that matter. Both of us are not the kind of parents where we are imposing our thoughts or beliefs on him. Like, even if to do with choosing a stream that he should be studying or, going for any kind of extracurricular activities. We've never been the kind of parents who have like 10 things for the children to do. Saturday morning ye class hai, Saturday evening you have
Hmm.
to do this, and Sunday you have to go for this, and those kind of things. We've never been that kind of parents. We have tried to, let him figure what he wants to do. He figured out by himself that he wants to play football. So we put him into that's one of his extracurricular activities, and he's doing really well there. So we support him there. But it's not like do this because of other people are doing it or that sort.
Right,
So
right.
I think if I have to put it in like in a sentence, maybe then it's like allow the child to allow the child to figure out what they want to do rather than imposing. Of course you have to guide them, but you shouldn't force them into anything.
Hmm. Your philosophy seems to be figure out karo or figure out karne do.
करने दो और करते रहो.
And finally, Soren, the last question that I have for you, what's one message or insight you'd like to leave with our listeners, apart from this, something you've learned that might resonate with other parents navigating their own unique paths?
I think it's very personal, but if you're not happy, two parents are not happy together, and there may be many reasons to stick together and try to stay together, but don't let your child be the only reason for doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
You can have you can be good parents while being separated as well. And in fact, if you're happy in your own personal life, you'll be better parents as well, rather than being sad together and not maybe probably not being good parents.
Wow, wow. I think that's very, very insightful, I would say. Soren, thank you so much for opening up and sharing your journey with us. It's been such a
Welcome.
privilege to hear about your experiences and the thoughtful way you approach parenthood. So we really appreciate you coming over here.
Thank you. Thanks, Nick.
And to our listeners, I hope this episode reminded you that every parenting story is unique and every path comes with its own set of lessons and rewards. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please subscribe to Parenthood. leave us a review, and share this episode with someone who might find it meaningful. Until next time, remember, you're never alone on this journey. We are here cheering you on every step of the way. Take care and see you next week.